Well, we began 2023, our 30th year as a church, saying that we're expecting more of God, more of His presence in our lives, more of His power breaking through doubts and despair, more of His kingdom being established in our city and surrounding areas. And so we have been digging ditches in prayer, in leadership, and in planting. What we've been preparing, because to prepare is to live in expectation for what God will do next. The Bible tells us it was by faith that Noah built the ark. He prepared because he expected. He was ready because he believed God would send the rain. And so too, as a church, we're saying, God, would you send your rain? Would you send your promises over this church, over this next decade? God, for all we have seen, we haven't seen anything yet. We are ready. One of the ditches that we are digging is church planting. The greatest strategy for the evangelization of a geographical location is church planting. Wherever a healthy church is planted, mission and evangelism increases. Life is brought to a locality, the needs of a community are served, hope rises, and stories of God's goodness are known. We shared earlier this year that God has placed the amazing town of Worthing on our hearts to birth a new community that can be a home for our church family and a place that many will come to know Jesus. And what's exciting is that God has already begun to impress on our hearts through prayer and people that Worthing is just the beginning. That this is bigger than just one location, but over decades to come, we will expand our reach and plant life-giving communities throughout the south of England. We live in such significant times in the story that God is telling through our church, and there's been no better time for you and I to put our hand to the plow and say yes to how God is calling us to serve in His church. Through prayer and practicalities, I want to say never underestimate the impact of what God has placed on your life. We want to thank everyone who has been digging ditches in prayer, many praying every day for what God is going to do in Worthing. I want to say thank you to those who have decided to step out of the stands and onto the field. This year already has been so incredible for what God has done over the past few months. So where are we? Well, we've broken down our journey from the start of 2023 to spring 2024 into 4 stages: prepare, engage, establish, grow. Number 1, prepare. We are preparing spiritually. There's a lot of prayer. There's a lot of worship going on. We're waiting on God. Hopefully you are too, waiting on God, interceding, saying, God, what are you saying about what's yet to come? We're preparing collaboratively, both with our INC network and our coaching there, but also with some incredible pastors already doing an amazing work in Worthing. We're also preparing strategically. We're looking at facilities. We're preparing financial plans. We're looking at what will the shape of this plant be. Second stage is engage. And we're very excited to share with you that this year we will run our annual Alpha in late September. We're going to run it based in Worthing. And I'm excited about that. Over the next few months, we want to engage with those in our community and those not in our community. And our prayer is that many people would say yes to leading an Alpha group this year, especially if you are based in Worthing. But we're also praying that many who do not know God, friends and work colleagues this year, they're going to come and be a part of Alpha. We're going to engage with the churched and the unchurched. Number 3, we have established. We're going to establish. At the end of September, as we launch our Alpha, we're going to begin to establish community in Worthing. And our prayer is that just like we've seen every year, that Alpha would be a catalyst for even more groups and places where people can call home throughout Worthing and the surrounding areas. Finally, grow. Our current plan is that spring 2024 will begin to grow the family. As we gather weekly to worship and be encouraged and serve, we're believing the family is going to grow and multiply. What begins as an extension service of our CityCoast family is going to become a life-giving church that sees God's kingdom come in Worthing as it is in heaven. The family is expanding, and this is really exciting. So what's coming up? Okay, this is what's coming up. We have some dates for your diary. So we have our prayer walks happening on the 21st of May and the 9th of July at 4 p.m. Whether you are confident in prayer or not, we would love you to join us as we pray. There is nothing weird about these times. We're not holding hands, bumping into things because we're closing our eyes. No, we'll just be breaking into different groups and praying. Let heaven invade every place we step. At the end of our time, we're going to come together, have a drink together, maybe a bite to eat together, and that'll be all over Worthing. So love you to join us then. Second thing is we got our worship night. It's coming up. It's going to be another powerful night on the 11th of June at 6 p.m. We were blown away by what God did last time, so I want to encourage you to be there and come expectant for even more this time. And then finally, as I've mentioned, Alpha will be launching at the end of September, and we're currently looking at cafes and different places where we can host Alpha. And I want to encourage you to ask God to just prompt, who are you inviting? Whether you're based in Brighton, Port Slade, Worthing, wherever you may be, we would love you to be a part of this year's Alpha. Okay, final one, what is my next step? Something we can all do is pray. And if you struggle to pray, or maybe you don't feel motivated, I want to encourage you to listen back to our series, When We Pray. We know there is such power in intercession when we stand in the gap for a person or a locality. And I want to encourage you to continue to pray for Worthing. We've just launched, as you know, our digital prayer space, and share what God is revealing to you about what He's going to do. Maybe you live in Worthing, or you have a real heart for the town, and you're just going, man, I want to be involved in this preparation season. Well, we'd love you to click the link below and let us know. Maybe you want to lead an Alpha group. Maybe you have links to facilities or cafes or friends in high places, so to speak. Maybe you just want to be really involved in the prayer walks or serve on host team at the worship nights. Whatever it may be, click the link. We want to hear from you. And church, what a season that we have ahead of us. Ephesians 3:20 tells us that God is able to do exceedingly and abundantly more than we can ask or imagine through His mighty power at work within us. Let's open our hearts and be ready for what He is wanting to do. We love you, church.